Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the PocketPete Podcast. I have the Mayos here. The Mayos went through an incredible experience. They sold their house. Then we could not find them a house that fit their dream house specification. So we figured out how to create one. And we possibly broke the record for the largest renovation loan ever done by Freedom Mortgage. So we're going to talk to them about everything they went through from selling all the way to hopefully happiness. So we're going to find out if that's true. So, hello.
Hello, Pete.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. You brought donuts and coffee. I couldn't say no.
All right. I'm so excited about this. So first, congratulations. You're in your home.
We're in a home.
It was quite a journey.
Indeed.
Can you tell the world, or just tell me, and the world will hear, the house that you sold had a lot of memories. You're raising kids there. To sit down and even have that discussion, do you remember what that was like, and the fears and excitement about that?
I do. I remember exactly how that went down.
All right.
Our girls, who are 6 years apart, were sharing a bedroom. The bedroom had no closet. The way that the room is structured in order to build a closet, which would have been the simpler fix than building a whole home, would have required a plumber and an HVAC person, because there was no wall that didn't have baseboard heating or central air ducts coming from the ceiling. So I was cleaning out their room one day, trying to organize everything, and I had had enough. And I walked downstairs to Dave and I said, what do you think about just seeing what happens? We don't have to commit to doing it right now. We can just see what happens. I know a guy that I would love to use. What if I just reach out to him and we just see? We have a conversation.
And here I was.
And there you are.
So we sat down, we chatted about what could be. The fears were what? That you're selling something and we get a buyer and you can't find something.
I mean, the fears were endless, right?
Yeah. Tell me the fears.
Or that nobody would want to buy the house.
Right.
I recently had two friends who made this process seem so simple because it was so seamless for them. I cursed them out every single day for the past 10 months. The fear of the unknown, because that's exactly, I had never sold a house before.
Right, and again, Joanne had purchased this house with her ex-husband, and so we had redone everything in that house. We've repainted every room, we changed floors, so we had finally done everything. And then she tells me, let's sell the house. So it was like, I did all this work. And for me, it was more the anxiety of, I'm going to have to do all this work over again.
Right.
Because, typically you're going to go in the house, you're going to change this, you're going to paint walls, you're going to, like that. So eventually, now we got to pick everything and didn't really have to do much, So it worked out in the end, but that definitely was an anxiety for me. It's like, I got to start all over again.
Right.
Yeah,
the stuff that was in there was pretty cool. So
yeah.
you had to kind of relive that. So, and your goal was to be kind of like within like a 3-block radius.
Right.
So,
it was not a problem.
We wanted to stay in the same district. We've made some great friends there, and so we definitely wanted to stay, in the school district. But then my wife had some special requests, double lines, corner houses, things like that. So that definitely made your job a little bit more difficult than, I guess, your typical clients.
Right, which I love. I love a problem, which I think you've
Plenty.
So, all right, and we looked at, I don't know how many houses we looked at, and we had a crazy lady that was like trying to pull us in and push us out every moment. What was her name?
Do we want to go there?
I don't know if that's right. We don't want to.
Sorry.
Right, we had that one house where it seemed right for you guys, but she wanted to sell, then she didn't want to sell, so.
And it convinced us to finally put the house on the market.
Right.
But then
she pulled it away from us.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like a dangling carrot that was constantly outside of our reach.
Right. So we sit down, we decide this is something we're going to do. You take a deep breath, and we put the sign on the lawn.
And then we had to tell everybody we were selling because nobody knew that for 3 months we were having this conversation and looking at homes. So I came home one day to the sign on the lawn and had to like call every single neighbor and person we know. Oh, by the way, we're selling our house! Yay!
How was that? What was that like?
It was something that our close friends weren't terribly surprised because it was something that it was kind of always like, do we do renovations to this house?
So you chatted with them about the possibility as well?
Yes, about, what are we going to do? And then we kind of dropped it for a few years because we were just going to stay and make do. So for the ones that were closest to, I don't think it was a terrible shock.
So were there no neighbor tears?
There were
There were neighbor tears.
There were.
There were neighbor tears.
Yeah, that was one of the.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, we had great neighbors, but they were all older gentlemen, retired.
Yeah,
Our kids didn't have kids or anything like that, but
right.
so. And they were wonderful guys. Hey, here's this plant that you could use for your garden, or they always were very helpful and stuff. And I think they liked having just us and our kids running around, and we weren't crazy neighbors or anything. So just to see us go was a little sad for them.
Yeah, and I lived there for a while. I don't want to get emotional. As a single mom, I lived there for a while, and it was, they always looked out for me and Daniela, so it was hard to leave that.
Okay, but you did.
But we did.
Well, you did. So yeah, I'm sure that was a touching moment.
Yeah.
Was it at the end? Like, was it like during the pack-up time, or like was it?
Oh, there were like sobbing tears between us and our immediate next door neighbors.
Like multiple times? Like
at the end, when we were leaving.
Yeah.
Even the husband, and that was sad.
Yeah.
Because the women were more emotional. But when he got emotional too, it broke me. And when they first found out, he came over and he was a little emotional, like couldn't really talk about it too much. And are you sure this is what you want to do? And, we really love you here. And it was tough.
That's good. I mean, that's a bond that's going to continue, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, we still see them and everything. Yeah. And we only moved a mile away, so we're going to ride bikes around that neighborhood. So
yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so the signs on the lawn, the world knows.
Yes.
And we kind of hit the market with a bang.
We did before we hit the market with a bang. Yeah.
You said people were knocking on your door before we were officially.
Yeah. So we sent the buyer, I think, before we hit the market, right? And then we had 6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours.
6 hours.
And only because that was the appointment time. They were willing to.
Right.
Yeah. It would have been.
Yeah, it would have been
shorter.
Yeah, it would have been 2 hours.
Yeah.
So that must have been overwhelming.
Yes.
Just immediately having something, and then what does that feel like to all right, it happened. Now what the hell do we do?
Right. Well, I think I said to you, can we say no? And you said to me, no. They're giving you what you want. You cannot say no. And I was like, but what do you mean I can't say no?
But we still had the open house scheduled. No, we didn't.
No.
We have a couple of. I thought we had people still come look at the house.
We kept.
We canceled.
Showing,
We canceled the open house and everything. But we kept showing and stuff. So it was just kind of all right, is someone going to kind of one up them? We're just kind of anticipating that and making sure and everything. But yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're not even getting to digest the fact that your house is for sale.
Yes.
And then you're done. It can be overwhelming because now you're on to stage 2. You even get to.
Right.
You get to really enjoy stage 1.
Right. And we had been looking, for houses for a while before we even put it on there, and we knew what wasn't out there.
Right. And there wasn't much out there.
Right.
Now, as you remember, I remember you said we looked at. I think the 4 of the first 5 houses we looked at were similar to our house.
Right.
Said, all right, can we stop looking at your house? We had to
what are we doing here?
Yes. I was like, can you tell me why we keep looking at your house?
Right, but there was nothing.
No.
Right, so then ultimately we decided. I had a wild idea, and we looked at a little 1,100 to 1,200 square foot ranch that a lovely family owned for probably 50 years, and we kind of took a leap, right? So can you talk about when we first looked at that house? Did I even show you that? Did Sandy show that?
Sandy.
No, Pete was there the first night.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
Oh, Sandy.
So getting back to neighbors, part of the draw of that house was the neighbors that are on that block. They are people that we had known for a few years. Our son goes to school with their son. They had mentioned that this house was on the market, and we understood the importance of good neighbors, and we knew that they would make good neighbors.
And I'm sure they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was definitely part of the draw. The first time we saw it, we went with you and with Rob, the contractor. I am terrible at visualizing things. I thought you all were crazy and out of your mind. And I just remember looking at Rob and Rob's face being so excited at the possibilities that I remember saying, like, I just want to buy this house so that you can build whatever's in your head because it looks fantastic. But I cannot understand what any of you are talking about right now. But you could tell just from when we walked into that house, I felt a different energy, for lack of a better way to explain it, than in any of the other homes that we had walked into. Walked in and liked a couple of things in other houses, but knew it wasn't going to be my home. And there was just something about this house that it just felt like you could feel the love. You could feel that there was a lot of family involvement in the house. And it was just a house that because of that, I was willing to consider moving forward with, even though I thought your plan was insane.
Thank you.
And up until Friday, I was still...
And it might have been. I mean, I do have a lot of wild ideas. So the idea, just so the world knows, was that we take this 1,200 square foot house for a much lower budget than we were looking, and we just create everything you want with what's called a 203K loan, which is a loan where they not only will help you buy the house, but they will also give you money to create everything you want to create if it appraises for what it appraises for, which was another part of the wild ride that we were on. But so taking this 11 to 1,200 square foot house and virtually doubling it, adding a basement, and everything else that went into it, taking it down to the studs and just adding double the amount of space. So that was the idea.
Right, and the idea stemmed from, you had said, there were two homes that we looked at that we liked in terms of size, but they both still weren't perfect, including the one that was dangling in front of us the whole time. There were still, the bedrooms in that one were still tiny. The girls would have still had to share a room in that one. And then the other mother-daughter that we had seen that we loved, that L shape, where the mother side was beautifully renovated, but the other side still needed a ton of work.
Right.
And there was no simple way to connect the two and make it one uniform house for us. But we liked the square footage of that as one home. So you had said, okay, well, those were both about 3,000 square feet. So that's about what you're looking for.
Let's just make it.
So let's just make it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we did. Which was so simple.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So first we got to win the house. The house, they had an open house with probably 20 people at it because it was a lower price house in Bohemia, which drew us the whole world.
Right.
Yep.
So we had to convince them to accept our offer.
Yes.
Which was another stressful, wild ride because you're buying into this crazy idea.
Yep.
And now your hopes are up, and then we're in this crazy battle. But we did it. Is there anything that stands out to you for those moments?
No, I think the biggest thing was the handwritten letter that we used.
Yes.
That was mentioned at closing.
It was mentioned at closing just to let the previous homeowner, I guess it was the homeowner's son, that, like my wife said, that she felt that it was a family home and there was love there. And how much we were hoping that we would have the same memories in that house. And he mentioned it during closing, how touching it was. And
then he got the letter at a time when he really needed it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
His father had recently passed.
So
that's
it
whose
was,
home it was.
So that, I mean, that was, I guess, whatever that kind of pushed us over the edge.
That broke any ties or anything that was close. So I honestly don't remember. Did I write that letter? I did. Okay.
But no, you went
That's okay. Yeah. So I decided that I should write a letter, but as empathizing as the two of you and the love that you got and the family that you guys have. So I think I encompassed who you guys are in it.
And signed it from us.
And signed it, yes. But yeah, luckily that worked to put us over the top.
Yes. And what you wrote was definitely something that we felt. It's not like you made up this story.
Yeah, and I gave it to you to approve before
Yes.
I. But yeah, I'm proud of that maneuver.
Yes. Great job.
Thank you. So we have the house. We're under contract, right? But now, not only do we need to get the house appraised, we have to get it appraised for a 3,000 square foot house that has everything completely done on it. We have to have an architect draw up the plans. We have to have the contractor put the budget together in a way that works, that fits what the loan's going to be and everything that you guys want. So like early on there was a lot of stress, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know, can you speak to any of that? Like what stands out to you for that process?
Oh, okay. So when he first proposed this idea, you made it sound very simple. Like, no big deal. You get this 203K loan. It's a simple process. It's not a problem. I'm going to put you in touch with, somebody who's a professional in this business. He's been doing these type of loans for 30-something years. He's going to know exactly what to do. And the first time I speak to him, his words were, "I've never seen a loan this big in my life. This is the biggest renovation loan I've ever done." And I was like, oh my God.
Yes, well,
but we love Freedom Mortgage.
And it may be the biggest. Well, let me step back. So, and this is on me. I think we can do anything.
Yes.
And I always think we can do it. And we
look, we did it.
And we did it.
You were not wrong.
Our positive thinking.
Yes, and then we will figure it out.
Yes, and Tom's exact words were, "Oh yeah, this is a Peter job." Yes.
Yeah, no, he loves my bright idea.
Yes. Yes, he said, "Yes, this has Pete written all over it." Yes, it does.
Right, so now you're sitting with them hearing that this is the largest loan, and honestly, possibly that Freedom Mortgage has ever done.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
So that stressed you out hearing that?
Yeah. Not stressed me out. It was more like a.
No, I mean, we knew what our budget was. We knew we could afford it, and so that was fine and everything like that. But it was just, the way he was just like, wow.
It was more of a. We already thought it was a little bit of a crazy idea, but it made it like, this is insane.
Right. Confirmation, insane.
Confirmation from like one of the top professionals in the business. This is a legitimately insane idea. Okay.
Yes.
And then there was the, trying to get the architect to draw up plans for a budget that doesn't really exist yet, and trying to get the contractor to give prices for the architect's plans that don't exist yet.
Right.
It was,
it was a chicken and egg problem.
It was, exactly.
Right.
And it was like a tug of war between the chicken and the egg. And
a lot too, we wanted this is our forever home. We wanted it to be our dream home.
Right.
So it's like, give us your wish list. What do you want? We have no idea how much hiring someone to paint your entire house. We don't know how much it is for a kitchen or what and things like that. So we're like, we're coming up with this list, but we're like, can we have this? Is this in our budget or what? So, and ultimately it was just like you said, like, well, what comes first? Who's got to go and this and that?
Right, and it was like nobody wanted to start first because the architect needed the budget, the contractor needed the architect's drawings, so it was like a stalemate for a long time. And then Freedom Mortgage wanting answers from us that we couldn't give them because we didn't have anybody's numbers or plans.
Right, and then the sellers wanted to close.
Oh, yes.
And they wanted to know what was going on.
Yes.
And, we're juggling all this.
Yes, and then the numbers kept fluctuating because there were so many moving pieces that it did, and towards the end, got very overwhelming. And up until the day that we were packing and moving from our home because we were closing on it, the house that we were selling, it almost looked like it wasn't going to happen.
I remember.
That was not a pretty day.
No, it was not. And was that the same day that we came over?
Yes.
Right? So you called me, you were stressed.
Yes.
And I called the contractor, Rob.
Yes.
And we came over.
Yes.
And we
realized, all right, our wish list was more than our budget.
Yeah.
So we had to sit down and say, okay, what are we going to take away? Or what are we going to, instead of these windows, maybe we do these windows. What are we going to have to do so that we can still build a house that we love, which we do, and stay within the budget? Because again, they said, do your wish list. So we did our wish list, and it was over. That's what happens. Yeah. But like I said, we were able to. You said it before. The positive. I joked around your positive thinking. Peter, you kept walking around, and we can do this. We can do this. We can do this. And we did. That's the thing. You kept saying, we can do this. And I was sitting in the corner. I was like, I love people. We can do this. I don't know how we're going to do this. But we did. We chipped away. We figured out what we had to, cut
I was
back
not leaving that house.
No, you weren't.
Until we figured
it out.
No. I mean, I know that you have a relationship with the contractor, and I know that you have a relationship with us, but I truly... that night felt like you were on our team, and whether that was something like you and Rob decided you're going to play good cop, so you make this happen or not. But because again, it's a very emotional process, and I think at that point for everybody involved, it was very emotional. It was very emotional for Rob. It was emotional for you. It was emotional for us. I don't think any of us were in a great place that night. But
none of us wanted to give up on it.
Right.
That was
right. But it looked like.
It couldn't happen.
It looked dark.
It did. Because there were certain things on our list that were non-negotiable.
Right.
And unfortunately, those were the
big stuff.
Yeah. Like building a basement.
Right. Just creating a basement.
Yes. So that was a tough night, but I did feel like you were on our team that night, which made me feel a little bit more relaxed in that, okay, if this doesn't work out for whatever reason, Pete's going to take care of us, and something will work.
Yes.
We're going to be fine ultimately. So I did feel.
It's funny now because even now I think about it. One of the things we said was that an extra formal. We had a formal dining room on there, and we're in the house now, and we're like, this place is huge. And we have a formal dining room. We didn't need that extra room, But when someone says make a wish list, you just kind of go crazy. Right. And it's funny now because I think about it. I haven't thought about that formal dining room until just this moment. We didn't need it. We don't need it. We have so much room now.
Huge.
It's huge. Like we were able to, like I said, we cut back, we scaled back on some things, and we stuck to our guns on certain things, and we have this amazing, beautiful home right now.
Some of those things snuck their way back into the house.
And we did, but it was give and take, So if we wanted to raise the ceiling, then all right, we had to sacrifice somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so maybe I had to get my hands dirty, and I made some barn doors for the house, and so things like that.
And a vanity.
And a vanity. But I have the know-how and the ability to do it. It's just a hobby of mine. But now it's nice because our house has a little personal touch for me, which the old house did. And I said before, I know I had some anxiety about I got to start all over with some of these projects, but people come into the house and they see these things, and I take pride in the fact that everyone. I said, you made those doors? I'm like, yes, I made those doors and things like that. So we did. And physically, we had to roll up our sleeves and get dirty here and there, but help out. But it was part of the process, and it was willing to get things that we wanted in. You have to make sacrifices. So.
Yeah. And there was a lot. The whole process was a lot of give and take.
Yeah.
There was a lot of give and take from both. From us and the contractor during the. Once we were closed and once. We were moving forward.
That night, I remember just like I was not giving up. We were figuring it out, and luckily, and I'm proud to say, like Rob, the contractor. He does, even though I was squeezing him quite a bit that night. He cares, so it was personal to him too to try to figure it out. So I know, as much as I was leaning on him, that it was important to him that you guys were happy, and he didn't want to leave there either. So it was just a great team that night. Just
and from that night forward, anybody, with the exception of two who shall remain nameless, who are a part of the team moving forward have been, Rob had an incredible team, and I know he has multiple teams working on multiple projects, but the group that was at our house, I would come home every day, I would come pick the kids up from the bus stop every day and stop in the house to see the progress, and they were just a great group of guys that took pride in what they were doing, and they would, want to show me what they did that day and get my opinion on certain things, and I think that Rob was more picky with the way things turned out than we were. If it wasn't exactly centered or perfect, Rob would redo it. No, I don't like that. Right. We're redoing. Even though I was like, but it's fine. Nope, it's not fine. I don't like it. It has to get redone. So there was and of course that's going to happen along the way. And
he does. I mean, he cares. Our kids see Rob, and they're all excited. Hey, Rob, and
nice.
He knew what was going to go into that house, and so he made sure that the best work was done and everything.
Yeah.
like you said, conversations were had, and sometimes you say, "Hey, we want this," and he's like, "No, you don't. You want this." You know, and he would get on us to make decisions about things, and you know, it was always an open conversation, and it was always good conversations, and there was never a time where we said, "I want to kill Rob," and we as far as we know, Rob never wanted to kill us. You know, but
so we solved some big problems that night.
Yeah,
and obviously there were still problems in the wake, you know, this whole time. But like, what the next step was selling your house and closing.
Yes, closing the house.
We closed ours. Yeah.
Yeah, and can you speak a little bit about what it's like to let go of, you know, that house and like.
Well, for me, again, I didn't buy the house.
Yeah.
Joanne had invested more time, you know, and years in it and everything. And like I said, I did a lot of projects and stuff. So on the day of the selling, again, it was all in her name. So I sat back with you, and we had donuts in the corner. So I was happy. I had donuts, yeah. But for Joanne, it's a different story.
Yeah. Being at the actual closing was probably the least emotional part of the whole process from start to finish. And it's weird because you would think that would be...
I think at that point, we were just I think we got to a point I was like, honey, we got to sell just so we have this box checked off.
It was, yeah.
And we just needed that weight off our shoulders that, okay, we're out of here. We're done with this.
We got so much more to take on.
Yeah, we had so much, yeah. And so that's what it was. Because we finally got to a point we said, all right, we need to sell, we need to close because that way we can just focus on our new home. You know, and so it was, I think, less emotional.
And we were, but we weren't even closed on that new home yet.
Yeah.
We were still trying.
Step is moving out of there and moving in with mom and dad. Well, mom and brother.
Yep.
And so, can we talk about that? Is that an open discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I'm kidding.
I expected far worse than what it actually turned out to be. I mean, my brother is an adult. My mother works. Nobody was home ever. There were plenty of times when we were home and alone with the 3 kids. There were plenty of times where they were alone because we still led our normal busy lives. We have 3 kids that we're taking to a million places. We have friends. You know, we had some. We really got to. And we really got to see who our true friends are in this process. We had people who would call us once a week to invite us over. Come get out of your mom's house. Come over for, pizza. Come over for swimming. Come over for whatever. Get out for a little while. And then we have friends that we haven't heard from because we realized that we were the ones always entertaining them.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of things that we realized in this process too, which is eye-opening.
So 2 things that I'm wondering about is, one, moving in with family. What were the positives? Like even though you get to hang out with your brother or see your brother and your mom in a closer, different setting than obviously for like 6 months.
10.
Oh, was it 10 months?
10.
I'm sorry, 10 months.
Well, the construction took only 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we sold and we had that. So,
right.
So I was fortunate enough. I had a change at work and I had to travel a little bit. So it was always nice to have them there in the mornings to get kids on the bus and things of that nature. So we're always fortunate with that. And sometimes having mom cook you a meal and things of that. That's always nice.
It was rent free.
Rent free. I mean, we had to pay. That's the thing. We had to pay the mortgage on our house. So it was rent free. Just some groceries and things of that nature, and some yard work or whatever. They got help out.
That's an important thing to point out. For 10 months, or I guess for 6 months since you closed on the house, you had to pay the mortgage, even though you're not living in the house yet because you own the house and you're renovating it.
Right. And there is a part of that loan that you can, if you're living somewhere else, that you have to pay rent. Then there's like a stipulation that can go into the loan, and I don't remember exactly what it is.
You can either pause it or
something like that, or they would factor in what you had to pay there into the loan, or you would only pay the interest. I don't really remember because it wasn't something that we had to worry about.
Right.
We were fortunate. That's the thing. That her mom had room for all of us.
Yes.
We truly were blessed that we could do that. And Joanne, when she was young, lived with her grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents, so it was nice for our kids to live with grandma for that time, It was an experience that we had growing up, and now our kids had it too. So,
cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now, but you're also living in a house that you don't own, that you have no control over. And at times I'm sure it's a little tight. Were there tense moments too over the course of these?
Nothing crazy.
No, nothing crazy.
No.
Yeah. I mean, was it 3 kids and 3 adults sharing one bathroom. So that, there can be definitely some times where, I need a bathroom. And, you try to, little kids they gotta go. It's like, wait a minute. So, but no,
it's nothing crazy
like that. For us, going from like a king size bed to a queen and little things like that. Just
the 3 kids were in one room. For a long time, but then Daniela, our oldest, wound up breaking her arm and then couldn't share a bed with the youngest, so she shared a bed with my mom for the rest of the time, even once she was healed. Nice. So, even once we were there and settled as much as you could be settled, things still, changed a little bit. Yeah. But there was never, my mom learned quickly that you don't talk to Dave in the morning.
How long do you not, once the caffeine hits you? Like, what's
you know what it is? I have my routine. I wake up, I pack lunches, I get breakfast ready, and I just have my routines, and I just let me do my thing. And that's it. So it's just like, I'm focused on the task at hand. Don't bother me.
Right.
Things like that. So
and if you do bother him,
watch out.
Yeah. That's it. But Mom she learned quickly. It
didn't stop her.
No, it didn't stop her. Yeah,
she knew the response.
That's true. And then they lucked out. Listen, I cook, so they came home to home cooked meals most nights. I actually became like the angry mother sometimes, like where they went out to eat, and I slaved over a hot stove. You didn't come home to eat tonight. You didn't call me. So there was moments like that. But no, other than that.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was not nearly as. I expected the worst. It's a tough situation. You're moving 3 kids and your husband into your childhood home, but it was much better than I anticipated, including when my brother and I tossed each other's clothes into the hallway over the balcony.
Tell me more.
We came home one night from a party and maybe we weren't sober, and all of his clothes were still in the bedroom that we were sleeping in and living in. And he had left his bedroom and went to the office with a, twin-size bed in it. And I had, in our, it was tight quarters at that point in the bedroom, I had a clothing rack and all my clothes were hanging on the rack because his clothes were still in the closet. And we came home not sober one night and I had hidden one of his t-shirts or something. So he came into the room and he took one of my dresses off the rack and threw it into the hallway. And then I still wouldn't give it to him, so he did the second one. So I was like, all right. So I got up out of the bed and I opened the closet and I started throwing his things, And the next thing we know, all of our clothing, his from the closet, mine from the rack, are all over. My mom walks up the landing. She looks at the 2 of us and she's like, and walked past us, and we're hysterically laughing as we're doing it. And then when we were all done in the middle of this mess, and he's shaking his head at us, we looked at each other and he was like, I'll take the clothing rack, you put your clothes in the closet. I'm like, all right, and so it kind of also solved an issue.
Yeah.
And it was a funny thing, but it was also, I think there was with every joke there's a little bit of truth. I think there was some truth in it too, like you're in my space, I'm in your space, you're in my space kind of thing.
It's nice you got to handle it like you're 11 and 10 together.
Yes. And that's exactly what it was like. It was like.
And they looked at me and said, "You're not going to help me." I said, "I'm staying out of this. This is between you and your brother.
Yeah.
I'm staying out of this."
But it was, even I think that it was just a funny way to handle a situation that was like, this is not the convenient thing, And he took the clothing rack into his room. All his clothes hung on there. I got the closet. He got the other half of the closet, and it made it a little more convenient and livable in the room for us.
That's awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
So, all right, so things are good at Mom's.
Yeah.
Well, she's sad now.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure she had all the grandkids. I'm sure that's rough on her. You guys aren't far.
No.
You guys can redo it. Or not. So, all right, can you talk about the process? Now that you're in the house, you have a lot of decisions to make. You still have a budget that you've set, but you have to meet. And you got to pick all the things that are going in there. What's that like? I've never. I have sort of done it, but not like this is a scale that I haven't seen.
So what I kept on saying, because it is very overwhelming, and especially I'm always afraid that I'm going to make a decision that I'm going to regret. So it's very overwhelming for me. Dave can make a decision like this and move forward. But I'm like, but it's not even the right decision. But he doesn't care.
I think if Rob had just worked with me, the whole process would have been 2 months.
But I kept on saying, these are good problems to have.
Right.
I can't complain and get overwhelmed in that sense because these are good problems to have. Like, oh, poor me, I have to go pick out tile for my 3 brand new bathrooms that are being built. good problems to have. And that kind of helped keep things in perspective and keep it light so that I didn't get to that point of being, anxiety ridden, because it can be that, because there's a lot of pressure. This is your forever home, and you don't want to make the wrong decision and have it done and be like, actually, I hate that. And like I said, Rob liked to have things perfect, and if he didn't think I was 100% happy with something, then he wouldn't be happy. So there was a lot of pressure to make the right decisions.
So you felt pressure to not make the contractor sad because he'd be worried that you're not happy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but it got to a point where that was our relationship with him, because this was a 10-month process. When all was said and done, I mean, we live in the house, and I still spoke to him twice today, and they're coming over on Friday to fix little things, So, and it's like, if you don't have that kind of relationship with that person, then this 10 months could have been a lot longer and a lot more brutal.
Super painful.
Yes, because we did face a lot of obstacles along the way. And it's funny because Rob and I were saying, he was at the house yesterday, and he and I were saying how a lot of the best decisions that happened in the house were under pressure. You have 15 minutes to decide because this is going in tomorrow morning. The stores are closing. Go pick something out right now. And those are some of the best decisions that were made.
I'm actually a big believer in that. Is that your subconscious knows the answer.
Yes.
And I do this a lot with my wife. Is I'll literally go, you have 5 seconds. Here's 2 things, and you got to just pick and just let your. And the other move I love is the fake coin flip. Where you say you have 2 options, you flip a coin, and then you have to stick to that one. But the reality is, you're either going to be happy or sad when you see that coin, and you'll know what you really like.
Exactly.
So I believe those are the best case scenarios. Is pressure.
Right. And a lot of the decisions, even though I had months to prepare and look and I say because Dave left a lot of the decisions up to me. Sometimes I would say to him,
I did. I said, I know I say happy wife, happy life, and everything like that. But I also said, I just know us. If you really want my opinion, then ask. Otherwise, choose whatever you want. I'm happy.
He's my coin flip. Which one do you like? Which one do you like better? Oh, that was the wrong choice. Okay.
It's.
Maybe
it's just me. I don't care about color. I don't care about style. I care about functionality and things of that nature.
And I think most importantly, and I just want to bring this up, you care about your wife.
Yeah.
Because even when we were sitting in that, when we were doing that, go back to that
darkest day.
Yeah, the darkest day. We go back to the dark day where we were in the bunker trying to figure this out. All he cared about was that you were sad, and we have to figure this out because he doesn't want you to be sad.
Well, especially on that day, we're packing up to leave the house forever, and there was all sorts of uncertainty at that point. And I was at this point, I'm packing up with at least when I was packing up in the beginning, it was with this plan in mind, and I kept my focus on the positive of this plan, and we're going to have this beautiful home, and it's going to be built. And then in that few hours when that plan was blowing up, I was so sad because now I'm packing all of my life away with no promise of anything.
Right.
And so much uncertainty about what we were doing. And I was more emotional then because I had nothing positive to focus on. And all I was focused on was the fact that I was leaving this home. So that was a big part of that darkest day. But Dave made some decisions in the new house. I did.
Well, it's funny because ultimately, like you said, when it came down to the last minute, some of the things that we chose were things I said from the beginning. I was like, "Oh, just leave that. Oh, just do that." And so that's what we ended up with.
well,
deep down inside, I knew where.
You knew where we were going.
Yeah. And even there were some times I called Rob and I was like, "All right, let's do this," and then I would call him 3 days later and be like, "So, is that already set in stone? Because I kind of I'd rather do this." And he was like, "All right, let's change it." And those are all decisions that I'm so happy I went back and changed. And simple little things, but that makes such a big difference in the home.
So was it really difficult because it was just every decision was tough? Or was it if you spend $10 here, you got to take $5 off?
No,
here,
but Rob would give me the budget, and I had the understanding. We had the conversation in the beginning. You give me the budget, X amount of per square foot, and if I find something that's more than that, then I have to pay the difference.
Okay.
So I had that understanding the entire time, and we knew that was going to be the deal. So there were certain things that, ultimately everything we picked out wound up being within the budget, so it was fine. But there were certain things along the way that it was like, well, is it worth spending? You know, I found tile for the master bathroom shower that was, 100 times the price of the budget. And then it's like, well, is it worth spending that on bathroom tile that only you and I are going to stare at? Like, no, because it's not something that I absolutely love and need to have. So we just wound up staying.
You have an incredible bathroom. Anyway.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Still, it's gorgeous.
And that's just it. We do. We have everything turned out absolutely perfect. And even that, like, I had looked and researched for months over tiles and had this decision and had it all Pinterest and picked out. And then we went to the store and within an hour, I made Dave made a lot of those decisions. You did. You made a lot of those tile decisions in the end. And all of my research went out the window because decisions needed to be made or else we were never moving into this home.
Right. And then they're obviously dealing with the town is not fun.
That was a lot of hurdles with that.
Yeah. Anything that stands out to you, or just every time you do something, you gotta wait.
No, it's just
for them to come by and check.
It seemed like everyone I dealt with all complained about our town.
When we had the inspectors that were at the house, I had met one of the
wonderful.
two.
Right.
They were such a nice man and very helpful, and would tell Rob, like, okay, next time I'm coming, I'm going to look for A, B, and C. Make sure that you have A like this, B like this, C like this. If you do this instead, this is not going to pass. So I found the actual people that we dealt with to be very helpful through the town, but the town as a whole, when it came time for paperwork that was overlooked, let's just call it, to get fixed, that was a little bit of a debacle, and it held us up by 6 weeks. And everything was basically at a standstill for those 6 weeks, which was...
Yeah, that's painful.
It was painful because we had seen progress, and then for 6 weeks it was nothing, because nothing more could be done until that inspection happened.
Right.
But we luckily only faced that once.
Yeah.
So it was... once we got through that,
and not Rob's fault.
No, not Rob's fault. Not Rob's fault. But once we got through that, it was good. I didn't care for the mason that was on the job. He just, like I said, Rob's team, all very similar, like, ideologies and similar philosophies and similar, work spirit. And he did not fit that profile. He was an outsider. He was new to Rob's team. He and Rob have different, very, very different philosophies on the job. And I align more with Rob's philosophies, which is a good thing because I worked longer with Rob.
Right.
But the Mason's philosophies, there were other things we wanted done, and I was like, forget it. I do not want this person.
This guy, yeah.
No, and I didn't want him to have another, that was extra stuff that we had done that was going to come out of our pocket, and I did not want that man to have another cent of my money because he just wasn't, I didn't find him to be a good person.
Yeah. Right. He didn't care about the end product.
And not only did he not care about the end product.
And you guys.
Yeah, unless you owed him money, he was not calling you back, to give you an estimate. And that's not, and you hear those kind of stories all the time with workers, right? And people didn't show up to give you a quote on something or an estimate on something, then why would you hire them anyway? And I think I was so spoiled with how quickly Rob would answer texts and messages, and if he had texted us and we didn't answer him quickly, he would get worried that we were angry about something, and then he would call us to make sure that everything was okay. So I think that we got so spoiled with that when you had this one person that definitely stood out from the rest in a negative way, it compounded that so much, that negativity.
Yeah.
So.
But luckily, it also highlights how great everyone else was.
True.
Yeah.
True. It did show us that. Yeah.
Mr. Positivity.
There you go. There you go.
So, all right. So, we're 6 months in, right? And then, at what point did it start to feel like it was you were happy, and you could see what was coming, and
Friday.
This room.
I think once walls went up and we could see actual rooms, that made a big difference. Because you walk through and you're walking around studs and you're just you're trying to envision things like that. And then, as you said, his walls went up, and then
that kind of got harder for me, actually.
Yeah.
Because even though I was able to envision it, then I started getting a little more impatient.
Yeah.
Okay, now the walls are up, and I understand spackle needs to dry and paint needs to dry, but let's go. you know, and
right.
and that made it a little bit more difficult and more like in that I was more antsy.
Right, and there is so much more to do.
Yeah,
You know,
so
it looks like you're almost there,
Yes.
and then there's so much to do.
And you started getting antsy too, like towards the end there.
Yeah,
because it would, you know.
You know, and that's the thing. So our kids' bus stop is right out. It's literally right outside our house. So we're there every day. I drive the kids to the bus stop, and so if someone's not there working at 8:30 when I drive, Rob, why is no one here today? You know, and so the same thing. Joanne goes to pick them up at 3 or 4 o'clock. Rob, no one's here. Well, you know, you know. So, like I said, we hope Rob smiled when he got calls from us. But you know, and for us, it's just an education. And as you learn, you go through this. Okay, well, what's the next step? How long does this take? Because again, we don't know. You know, we don't know how long it takes for spackle to dry, or how long you should let hardwood floors sit inside the home so that the wood can acclimate to the temperatures and things. Right. You know, you don't think about those things. You see wood floor. You see the wood's there. Put it down.
Yeah.
You know, put it down. And so it is. Going through the whole process. It's an education. And so. For us, it's an education and patience as well, I guess. But yeah, so you definitely get a little antsy as you get closer and closer, and you see things happening. And we were there, like I said, every day. And so, but we're fortunate enough that Rob would answer those questions for us. And even like I said, the rest of the team, the plumbers, if we saw them, we'd ask them questions. So, what are you working on, and what about this and that? And, you know, everybody always, like I said, very informative, very helpful through it all.
So, you know, one thing I was actually thinking about, and a little worried about, was like, because you get to see the whole thing as it's going, you see it up to the last day. I'm like, I wonder if there's going to be an actual emotional moment when it's your house and you can get in there. Like, was it emotional, or was there like?
You know, it's funny. A few days leading up, I told her, because you know, the old house was more her house and her ex Anthony, and I said, I'm going to carry you across the threshold. You know, like, we're going to open up the double doors and like that. But we were just so excited to move in. We just, you know, we had bins and boxes and things like that where we haven't since Friday, we've just hit the ground running. Yeah. We just wanted to be in and enjoy it. And like last night, we were sitting around and said, let's do the fireplace. And you got a picture from us.
Yeah,
you know, like,
great.
We just want to get in and live in it. And that's the thing. So we really haven't had a moment to stop and reflect. And our daughter Daniela, she left for a few days to go skiing, and so the five of us really haven't had a chance to sit down and be a family. And like we said we need a night where the five of us just sit down and have a family dinner and the fire and just kind of breathe it all in. So we haven't had that moment yet, I feel like.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week.
Where it's just been crazy, and like, you know, we have friends, hey, you're coming to help move and this and that, and we got a wonderful realtor drop off 5 pizzas for everybody. And, you know, and like I said, and everyone's kind of chipped in to help us get in, because I think everyone knows how excited we were. And like I said, our friends have constantly like stopped by. They were going to see the progress, and our friends, a couple friends have a similar home to the one we purchased, and they're thinking about, can we have your architect plans? Because they love what we're doing and stuff, and so everyone's been kind of coming and going, and it's just been this buzz,
which is great.
Yeah, it's been a great buzz, and but ultimately that's what we wanted too. We want a home where people want to come to, and we want to gather there and everything, and so.
So you got to pick a day where you're just the whole family's together. Yeah. Lock the doors.
Yeah,
but that's not us. Yeah. You know. It's,
but we still have boxes and stuff, and I took off this week, and Joanne's off this week, and so we're trying to get it all somewhat cleared out, so that you walk in, there's no more boxes and things laying around, and everything's away, and maybe we don't have the decor on the wall and stuff like that, but at least we don't feel like, okay, we need to get this checklist done today, know. And so we're almost there.
Yeah.
So we're hoping by this weekend we can maybe like Sunday. The girls' birthdays are coming up, and so I feel like then we'll really feel like we're in we're home and we're celebrating. Not just them but also our home.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for that moment.
Yeah. Come on over, you guys.
Please. I will.
Last night we didn't have the kids for a few hours, so we did. We had a romantic sausage sandwich dinner in front of the fire.
Yeah, and in front of the fire.
And that was like, I had gone back and forth about what to do with the fireplace a million times, and I was going to have the mason redo the whole fireplace, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then I decided I didn't care for the mason, and that's putting it lightly. So we wound up just, Rod's guys did a nice little molding thing on top that I had found online, and as we're sitting there yesterday with the fire going, I'm like, this it's one of the best decisions we made, is to keep this original. That's the only thing original to the house, is the stone.
Who made that decision?
You said it from the beginning, and then ultimately I
Double
came
check,
around.
yeah.
we did get, and we got a beautiful piece of barn wood from in the attic. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the attic out in I think Laurel. Is it Laurel or Southold, something like that? So we got a beautiful piece of old, 100-year-old barn wood to put above it and everything
Mantle,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. So they did a nice work with it. And everything.
Yeah. So it just all it all came together, and that's one of my favorite walls in the whole house. And I love that we kept the original fireplace from the original home that did have that great love energy in it.
Right. Yeah. That's nice.
It is.
So, ultimately, you're in.
We are in.
You're happy.
We are happy.
Is it worth? If we had to go back in time, and we were sitting down, and we're standing in that house again, and I brought up this harebrained, wild idea. Would you, knowing what you've been through, would you do it again?
Yeah. But I think I said we have a dream home. I think it's a beautiful home. I think if everyone else is fortunate enough to have a place to go during that time, because not living in the construction and everything like that, I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like we had somewhere to go where we're not living in a hotel or something like that. And yeah, like I said, we got quite the education and on everything. And
Yeah, I feel like I could not emotionally and mentally, or well, not emotionally, mentally, yes. But I feel like I could go, like, now I know what to do and what not to do, and what hurdles and obstacles, are potentially there. And I feel like we have all this knowledge, like, okay, so it would be easier to do this again. But I said to Rob 100 times during this process, I don't know how you do this for a living, because I'm doing this to one house and ready to lose my mind. And I know, like, obviously it's a lot more emotional when you're doing it there's a lot more emotions involved when you're doing it to your own home than when it's like your job and you're doing it to a house. But I'm glad we did it.
we were joking around because now people want to see the house, and when your realtor showed it to someone, and Joanne said, "Well, if they give us a big enough offer,
We'll do the whole thing.
we'll go do it all again."
$3 million.
Let's see what we can do.
That is the only offer I will
We get a big
accept.
offer. We'll go do it again.
$3 million. That is the only. I figured.
As long as we get to work with you and Rob again,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I feel like with $3 million we can hire movers to track everything for
Yes, we
us
can.
and to do it. Yes. Yep, that would be my bottom line price.
Is there any advice you have for anyone that was sitting, like that, if you were sitting across a diner with that was thinking about doing the same thing?
Just
You have to find the right team of people to do it with. And
I guess, we were fortunate enough that we clicked with Rob, and everyone on his team and everything. And it is too. And we joke. I don't think at any point, like I said, I said it before a couple times. I think Rob, I don't think he ever got a call from us and was like, oh, no, not now,
Right.
And I think yes, there were times where we had to hurry up and make decisions, but it was never a haggle. It was never a hassle. We never sat there and was, God damn it, Rob, like things like that. It was an open, you got to keep an open mind. You got to be flexible.
you have to communicate.
Yeah.
And it has to be somebody like, it's funny because towards the end it almost became like bittersweet. Like you get so used to doing and having and talking to these people every day and doing this process, and it's almost like another full-time job for us to be doing this and making these decisions and researching and doing this and doing that. And Rob had said something, he was texting me something the other night as I was like packing up at my mom's house, and I was like, I can't even look at that right now. I'll start crying, like something like, well, this process has been so great and blah blah blah.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I can't address that right now because it's almost like a bittersweet thing, because we did click with him and it did work so well, but I don't know that you need to make sure that it's the right fit for you, because like I said, there was a lot of give and take on both ends. We wanted the ceiling raised, and then we wanted another ceiling raised, so then we had to do a lot of giving back. And if people don't understand that, or you have to stick to a budget, and if you want it to be more, you have to put in that extra money. And if you don't understand that, and Rob is somebody who likes everything to be just so, and he's more concerned with things being perfect than necessarily a timeline. And if you're somebody who's on a time crunch and you don't care that it's not perfect, you just want it done, then that's a different contractor you need to find. Or you need to be clear with the contractor that that's who you are, and if they're willing to work under those conditions, then that's a different story. But I think that because we would be willing to do it again because we clicked well with that team of people.
like you said too, just financial. You got to be realistic. You want to build your dream home, but you have a budget, and you got to stick to that budget. And you can make beautiful things happen with, like I said, I we're joking around about it. One of the bathroom vanity Rob and I made. We made a concrete countertop, and I made a vanity from scrap wood from the house, from the old roof, and it's probably the cheapest thing in the whole house, but people are talking how beautiful it is, and so you just got to be realistic about your budget and stay within your budget, and you can find beautiful things and make a dream home in that price, and so just be realistic about it. That's all.
How did I do, and is there anything I could have done to make your life easier if we were redoing this again?
No, Pete was great. Like I said from the very beginning, when my wife said, "Let's look into this," I got a guy, your guy Pete. And you and I, we clicked right away. People ask me, "Is this you?" I'm not Pete. But I love Pete. And you're just very supportive throughout. And it was. Whether it's the coupons, we went bowling and food, and you dropping off pizzas, and most realtors, after we signed, you would say, "I see you later," but you've been involved in the whole process, and you're making sure that we were happy and that everyone's taken care of, and you didn't leave us at the signing table, and so you, like I said, you've been supportive of us through the whole process, and again, I think I've made a new friend. You
made a soulmate.
I did say when I was signing all the papers at the first closing, but I think I did this just so you could be friends.
Right. And you saw even at work, I had someone that was looking to sell a house, and I recommend everyone to you. I wear my sweatshirt. And I let people know that that you do a phenomenal job, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on camera. I truly believe it.
Yeah, so. And like I said, that night I felt like you were on our team, so we would be taken care of, and it would be fine. And I felt like that through the whole process. Anybody that you back, I feel like
right.
You.
I use the app for everything.
Right. And anybody that you back, I feel like that I trust you enough that I would trust them then. And also knowing, just so you know, that if I ever had a problem with that person, I would then relay that information.
Of course,
to
and that's important to me, is that
right.
I know that the people that I'm recommending are taking care of you.
Right.
And that's one of the things, like, people ask me to go in the app. I don't really know you. Or I haven't done any business with you. If I don't know that you're going to make my people happy, and people have offered me money to be in it.
Yeah.
And it's not about the money, because the money comes from producing a good product, make sure people take care of.
Right.
And you did. You took care of us, Pete.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I hope you learned something here, and I'm super happy to bring them to you, bring the Mayos to you, and thank you again, and we'll see you soon.